Hi. Hello. So my name is Amin Nordin, and for those who have been joining us, whether on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, I think first up, I want to give a what do you call that? We've been away for a couple of weeks, and partly the reason is because we are trying to sort of like compile new topics that we can talk about and I'm pretty glad to say that we've come to a stage where each week from now, every Thursday, and in fact even more, we have more webinar topics. So if you head out to AhaSlides.com and if you see the top banner at the top, we've set up our new Eventbrite page, and in the Eventbrite page, as you can see, we are starting to list a lot more topics. Some of them will be live like this, and some of them will be pre-recorded, of course. So yeah, so for those who are new, whether you're joining from YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, I want to say thank you for joining us. Whether you're joining live or if you're joining us later, post live stream, we do get a lot of views post live stream. And the whole purpose of having these sessions is to sort of like bring more value to your users, right? So share use cases that we've seen in other users about how to use AhaSlides. And today's session is a bit special. So today we're going to talk about mental wellness, right? Um, and this is a particularly important topic for a lot of teams right now. It might have sort of like taken a slight backseat ever since COVID died down, and we are now operating in almost normal kind of like settings, right? So we get to go to offices, etc. And it used to be a huge topic back then. But I just want to give a shout out that this is an ongoing topic, and mental wellness has gained much more awareness now, and it's something that we have to consider from time to time, right? So without further ado, I think today's session will be pretty interesting. So instead of preparing the slides beforehand, I thought this time I want to do something different. So what I'll do now is I'll talk about this topic about mental wellness, and I want to show you, the viewer, how you can actually use AHA slides in real time, right? So I have my screen set up for AHA slides, and so the whole point for me today is to show you how you can actually use AHA slides for mental wellness sessions, right? So the first one I want to cover is that um, is something that we see quite often in AHA slides users, and the whole idea is um, there are cases where you would have, like recently in our team, we have been receiving a lot of last minute requests from other teams, right? And this could be a common issue that a lot of other teams face, right? And there's a couple of ways where you can do this. And one of the things you can do is you can raise it up in your weekly team meetings or monthly team meetings and say, hey, this is a issue we need to talk about. In some cases, or commonly in a lot of cases before this, like most companies would actually, they might sweep this under the rug, right? So how do you bring about this topic in a very neutral and non what's the word, uh, it's in a way that doesn't confront people, right? So one of the favorite tools I see in the AhaSlides users is the poll, right? So I want to go through the slide type. So this is our poll slide type, right? And what you can do is you can write the question here. You can type it out here, or you can type it out here, and you can put in the options. So you can put, for example, um, let's say my goal is to just ask my team. I'm not sure if this is an issue yet. I just want to know if this is an issue. Do we need to talk about it? I mean, if it's nothing to talk about it and everyone's okay with it, and it's just the way it is, like we don't have to have a team meeting about it. But what if I want to know first, right? So what I can do is I can do a poll. Like, imagine there's none of these two slides, right? So there's no these two slides at the top. It's only this. You can do one slide only, right? And what you want to do is you put the options, and because this is this is not a question. There's no right answer. So remember not to pick this option. Just uncheck it. So there's no correct answer. If you feel like this deserves the ability to pick more than one option, so for example, you could have like unsatisfied, right? So you could be okay, but you could be unsatisfied as well. You can allow for more than one option, and you can let the your team choose more than two options, three options, no problem, right? So it's a way to make your polls a bit more robust, because we are dealing with human emotions here. So try, if you can put in more sort of like feeling words inside, it'll be good, right? Please uncheck the time limit because there's no competition, there's no and what you also want to do is you want to hide the results first. Okay. Um, now you could put the results in donuts or layout, etc., and you could lock the submission so that your audience don't change their mind, because you want to capture the feeling, right? Okay. So now, just to give a brief background about what we're looking at, right? So if you don't show the results, the audience wouldn't know who chose what. And the other thing is, the audience, when they vote, it's totally anonymous. So you give this sense of confidentiality to your team to let out about what they feel, to see if it's an issue for you to address. And if you need to show results, you can show the results later on. Okay, right. So so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna so now the next thing, it's how do you share this, right? So what you want to do is to change this, especially if you are sending this survey out asynchronous. So choose the audience self-paced. So this will allow the audience to switch the slides and engage with the slides that they see. So now, after you choose the audience self-paced, click on here, copy this link, and so imagine I'm now the audience. I'm scanning the QR code. I'm on my desktop, so I'll go to the browser. So this could be done through your Slack channels or your WhatsApp channels, and you say, "Hey team, I need an input," um, and so they will actually come here. So ignore the first slide because that was part of the presentation, right? So now they would come here and they can choose these two options, right? So with the last minute request, let's say I'm one of the team members, I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm quite impartial, and maybe slightly unsatisfied. Okay, I can of course do the emojis here, but I'm not going to do the emojis. Oh, it's not sharing, so let me share this step. Sorry. So yeah, so back to here. So you see that this is the screen that the audience is looking at, and I can choose impartial. I can choose. So imagine I'm on the team staff now. So I'm going to press submit. Right. So now I'm done. So let's go back to the team presentation, and here you go. You can see the results from the audience perspective. They do not actually see the results, so you can choose to reveal to your team later on after the whole session, or you know, if it's nothing serious, everyone is okay about it, like, and one or two people are unhappy, you can choose not to revisit this. So this is our poll slide. Is extremely useful. The only thing is you just need to know how to use it. So remember, so you can allow as many options. Don't put the correct answer, because there's no correct answer to this. You can allow for more options, so you can have multiple feelings, and remember to hide the results, because this is a confidential. Whenever we're dealing with mental wellness, we need to allow for a bit of anonymity and confidentiality, right? Which should be no problem if your team is small and you're pretty familiar with your teams. So this is, I think, a very particularly useful. You can use it in many ways, and you can use it for Mondays, for example, like how everyone is feeling today. Like, are you feeling tired, motivated, and so on and so forth. Which brings me to the next point. So I want to talk about this other slide. So this is my favorite slide. It's called the word cloud. So how do you choose the word cloud? It's you can pick here, and then you can go down here, and this is the word cloud. So if you pick the word cloud, which I've already picked, which is this one, right? In the beginning, so a lot of our users would get a bit shocked, like, hey, where's the word cloud question? Because I can't imagine how the word cloud would look like. So in the word cloud slide type, before you begin, it always looks empty because no one is inputting any responses yet, right? So how do you use the word cloud? So typically, when you are using a word cloud, you might want to give a bit of open-endedness, but you want to limit the amount of information that your audience is giving, right? Because you don't want to have an issue where you have um, multiple scenarios baked into one text box, right? So for example, let's say you ask for feedback about the work from home policies, right? So recently, a lot of companies have asked their staff to come back to office, and you could have something like, "What do you feel about the new work in office policy?" Now, if it were to be an open-ended, or it were to be any other inputs, what will happen is that people can go on complaining like, I don't like this, I don't like that, and etc. etc. And what that does is you cannot explore each problem one by one. Now, a word cloud limits the number of um, characters that you can put inside, right? And that forces the team to think about what they want to type out in a very succinct manner, right? Like, no more than maybe 5 words, right? um, and some of my team members, when I do this on them, what happened is they would remove all the spaces. So I'll show you in a bit how that looks like. So in a word cloud, you can allow more entries per participant. So I'm going to put 5 here for some strange reason. I'm not going to put a time limit. So whenever you are doing a wellness exercise, avoid putting the time limit because you want to give the audience time to think about their responses, right? And you might want to hide results, or so the you can show your results or you can hide the results. And the reason for you to hide is that you might not want the each individual responses to influence the other, and that's why you hide. But otherwise, if you feel it's fine, because sometimes having a response from other team members would sort of like trigger the more thoughts into your team members, right? So maybe for some people, oh no, that's not an issue. But then after they see the responses from the other teams, yeah, I feel the same, so I should put that in as well, right? So other settings allow audience to submit more than once, which means you can type in. So you could have like 5 responses and then you type again 5 and you can type in. And for filter profanity, if it's just your team, I would suggest like leave it off, right? The whole idea is you want to capture what is truly felt by your team, right, about certain issues. And this is very, very, very useful. So, but before that, let me share it with you how it works, right? So I'm going to present this. So I'm going to put now presenter mode. That means what the audience is saying will be the same screen that I'm in, right? So previously it was audience led, which means the audience can control which screen they want to see. But now I'm in presenter mode. It means that the audience will have to see the same screen that I'm at right now. Okay. So I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to switch my what do you call it, tab. So now I'm on the audience side. So I'm going to refresh, which brings me to, so this is the word cloud, right? So let me go back. So in the previous screen, so this is the presenter screen. This is what you are going to showcase on the big screen, right? There's no inputs right now. So I'm going to go into the audience screen. So normally you'll be on your phone or you might be on your desktop. I'm usually on my desktop. So I would open this on my desktop. So mine would look something like this, right? So how do I feel about the new the new work in office policy? So I work from home, so I would be quite unhappy about it. I'll be like, I'm not sure why this is necessary. So as you can see here, I've run out of characters. There's only 25 characters, right? So I'll be like, oh, this is really important. How do I send this message across without meeting the space. So this is what happens. Like I would rethink about how I want to write. Why is this necessary? Okay. So now as you can see, like I remove all the unnecessary words and I put in what I really feel like. Why is this necessary? What's the point, right? Um, I work more effectively at home. Okay, so now I would say, okay, this is like, okay, I'm more effective at home. Nice. Okay, I need more space. Let me remove this. And sometimes what happens is we'll see this. Okay. Now let's say someone it's happy with work from home. They will put like, it's good for me, right? Or no issue, right? Okay, and I'm going to submit. So let's see how it looks like when you submit. So after your audience has submitted, I'm going to switch screen now. And it would look like this, right? So I find the word cloud pretty useful because you can sort of like skim through some of the more important issues that your team might be facing, and you can address some of the things that are sort of like important to your team, right? So for example, I'm going to do another one. So let me show you what happens when some of the things. So I'm going to type the no issue a lot more times. So let me see if I can. Oh, I need to go on to another screen. Sorry, let me open up another new incognito tab. Just bear with me for a bit. See if this works. Okay, good. So let me share my screen now. So remember the initial word no issue. So I'm going to put no issue a couple of times. So if in the real scenario, you would have maybe 1 to 3 people say unhappy, unhappy, unhappy. And that is the beauty about word cloud, because most people, they might not bother about thinking exactly the 25 words that they want to write. So they will say, no issue, I'm okay. Like one word, right? So I'm going to submit this, and let's see how it looks like when more people submit the no issue. So there you can see the word no issue becomes bigger, right? So it gives you a quick sense about what are the issues that are important, and that's what I like about the word cloud, right? Some teams that we have seen before, especially for weekly check-ins, they do the same. So what they do is they start off the meeting with like, how are we feeling today? So you can have a very general question about how are we feeling today, and then if there are certain emotive words or feeling words that are a bit larger, the team manager can choose to like do something to motivate the team. Like, okay, guys, I know like you guys are not feeling motivated. Let's stand up and have a bit of games, or let's talk about something like, right? So the next one I want to go through, which is the last one, and so the first one I covered, it's useful for weekly check-ins, and the reason for weekly check-ins is because it's sort of like it's a routine, and you want to give options that are familiar to the team members, right? So you want to get them used to answering, how are we feeling today? Okay, unhappy, impartial, unsatisfied, right? The whole idea is to see if there are any changes to the moods, right? And this is especially useful for weekly check-ins, things that you do on a routine and the audience are familiar. Now, some counselors or team mentors might say, hey, having a routine for polls might not be effective because people are used to it, so they might say okay for the past 8 weeks, and even if they're not okay this week, it's a habit. They'll just put okay even if they're not okay. So I say it's a two-edged sword, right? So one, it's the first one would be, it would be an issue if your team is not able to share what they truly feel. So that's an issue, right? So you don't want things to be bottled up, and these are things that in a lot of work cases, we don't have the opportunity to share about what we feel, right? So it's not always that we are all perfect team members, right? In some cases, you might be high performing, but towards say June, when you've worked really hard for the first 5 months, and then you feel like, I'm really tired this month. I'm not sure why. I've been trying to find my footing, right? But sometimes because you've put okay for the last 5 months, and you feel like you're obligated to put another okay for this month, right? So So as a team member for weekly check-ins, maybe changing the polls with the work cloud once in a while, it's quite important. But otherwise, like it gives a sense of like consistency, right? Now, if your team member is really comfortable and they trust each other a lot, having consistent what do you call it, options is also another way to test if your team is okay or not okay, right? So because if you're truly on okay, not okay, and the options has been consistent, right? So it's either one of these four, and then this week you feel like I feel like crap. I should put unhappy just so that my team knows how I truly feel, right? Um, and what happens? It's you as a team manager. You can see, oh wow, usually everyone is okay. Everyone choose option one, but today someone is choosing option two. You don't have to know who, but at least you know. Oh, okay. There's a bit of a dip, right? So there it's a two-way thing, right? So it could be consistency could help you, or consistency could hide certain things. So this is something as a manager you would have to have a feel for your team. But with regards to that, of course, AhaSlides can't solve that. But as a tool, AhaSlides can assist you in trying to find out these issues, right? The next one, I would say the word cloud. It's for engagement. It's for weekly check-ins. It's for when you are presenting in front and you have the ability to sort of like dive deep into the issue, right? So when you have a word cloud, it's sort of like you want to skim over the top. You want to see, okay, what's the overall big picture? Is there anyone like have any major issues? And then you can also take the time to say, okay, guys, like I know this is someone might have said this. It looks like one person might have given this response. Why is this necessary? So I want to explain to you on why this policy is necessary, right? So a word cloud is effective when you have a face-to-face session, and you can sort of like take your time to address some of these things. Now the last one I want to share with you, it's scales. Okay, so scales is a very interesting slide type. Scales allows you to ask several questions and see several things at the same time. So let me show you an example. Okay, so let's talk about let's say we have a weekly salary, or sorry, is the year end salary review. Okay, so what do you feel about the recent salary reviews? Okay, right. So for those who are joining on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, I just want to give a heads up. I'm not doing this last minute. The whole purpose of today's webinar is I want to show you, the viewer, how you can use AhaSlides on real time. So that's why I'm sort of like in the what do you call it? I'm not in the presenter mode for the slides. I'm actually doing it live, so that you who are looking at, you can see how you can use this for your team monthly or weekly, or for mental health check-ins, right? Okay, so now let's get back here. So how do you feel about the recent salary reviews? So you would use this slide type, the scales, when you have an issue that's a bit more complex, and you have to sort of like look at the statements or the questions together at the same time, right? So for example, so statement one would be uh, the reviews were done fairly. Okay, so one would be and this is especially true for HR or for sensitive issues, and you can use this for salary reviews or performance reviews. So as you can see here, when I tap down the reviews were done fairly, we're exploring the fairness of the process, right? So if your team members agrees, they're gonna select this. If they don't agree, they're gonna select this, right? Now, so one is we want to see if it was done fairly. Second is the reviews match my expectation for salary increment. Okay, so now we are exploring a second issue, right? Now, if the reviews were fair, does it match my expectation for salary increment? Okay, then the last one will be maybe I'm happy with the frequency of my reviews with my manager. Okay, now, so what we have here are three different issues, three separate issues, which you can explore separately. So you can explore the first one, and then the second one, and then the third one. But when you explore this together, right? So for example, if someone feels that the review were done fairly, but the salary match does not match the expectation, or the increment does not match their expectation, and they're not happy with the frequency. Now we have a whole picture, right? We have a whole picture as to what might be the issue, right? As opposed to doing it so doing one by one. So I'm going to show you how it works, right? So now this is done. I'm going to go to the audience side. So I'm going to present this. Again, we are in presenter mode. That means that the audience would see the slide that I'm in. For those of you who have just joined, this is how you select, how you toggle between audience and presenter mode. Here would mean that the audience has the ability to control which screen they would see. And when you choose presenter mode, the screen on the audience side will lock on to what the presenter is presenting. Okay, so I'm going to present this. So when I present this and I'm on presenter mode, the audience would see exactly the screen that I'm presenting. Okay, so I'm going to go to the audience mode. So as you can see here, the presenter has changed slide. So it indicates that there are changes, and when I click here, it will jump to the slide that the presenter is in. Sorry, there might be let me just refresh this. Okay, right. So now I'm in the scale slide tab, right? And this is what you see on the audience side. So you can see this on the desktop, or if you're on your mobile, you'd see something similar. And now in one slide, I can give my responses. So it looks like a normal survey, and you as an audience will be like, okay, these are the things that I need to answer, right? So were my reviews done fairly? I feel like it's okay. Like, I'm quite impartial to it. So does it meet my expectation? No, I think I got to disagree on this, and I think the manager should sort of like review with me more often, because it's not fair. I mean, the recent one was done fairly, but I think because of this, the increment might not have matched my expectation, right? So maybe, in my opinion, if the frequency were to have been more frequent, then my manager would see that I've really put in effort, and therefore I deserve a larger increment, right? So I'm going to submit this. Right, and let's see how it looks like on the presenter side. Right, so on the presenter side, you would see this scale. Now only one person has responded. So this person, that was me before. I'm unhappy about this. This is my frequency. I think like I should have done more, etc., etc. Okay, let's see what happens when you have another person submitting in the same response. So I'm going to share this tab. Sorry, I should close this screen because I'm in incognito. I'm going to close this screen now. Right, and I'm going to open a new incognito tab. Okay, so now I'm on incognito. I've got the link somewhere, so it's the same link. I'm going to paste it here. So now I'm pretending to be a second person, right? Okay, sorry, let me try that again. Okay, now it works. Sorry. Okay, so now I'm the second staff, and this time my responses were a bit different. So my reviews, I'm going to strongly disagree. It's not fair, and therefore the review doesn't match my salary expectation. But I don't want my manager to review. I don't want to talk to my manager too often. I think the relationship should be at best at arm's length, right? So I'm going to put that I'm happy with the review. Please don't change. Like once a year, it's more than fine. and I'm going to submit it. Now, what would happen, it's the scale, so I'm going to share what it looks like. So now the scale is different, right? So you have a mashup of each scale. So let's look at the salary review. So it appears that all the staff are not happy with the increment. Okay. In terms of the fairness of the review, we have the average of 2.5, and you can see the highest hover around here. And of course, with the frequency, we have mixed reviews. Some of them are in 6 here, as you can see over here. This is 6, and some of them are in 3. So you can see at real time how each responses are corresponding to an individual user. And you can also see the average, which is 4.5 here. So this scale, it's pretty cool. A lot of consultants love it. A lot of HR managers love it, because you could tell a whole lot of story with this. You can see the average of all the responses. You can see individual responses and how they relate to each other, and it gives a good sense of how happy and what are the issues that your team members are happy about, or how unhappy they are, and what are the issues that might be affecting them. And it gives you this good overall picture, right? Right. So these are the most common slide types that we see. A lot of teams use it. Whether it's asynchronous, that means it's a poll you send as a link and it's audience led, or it could be a team meeting before the start of Monday, or it could be a monthly check-ins for HR managers, just to get a sense of how the team feels about the whole new changes or anything that the HR team has done for the entire team, right? So, the strange thing is AhaSlides feels like a presentation slide, but with all these functions, it's suddenly a lot more different, right? And we've been trying to share this value out to the world, but we haven't found a really effective way to tell this story out. And it seems that webinar, it's sort of like the best way to do it, right? Or live stream in this case. Yep. So I hope this has been useful for you guys. If it's been useful, you can, if you're on LinkedIn, you can drop in the comments on LinkedIn. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, please drop in. Our support team, our customer channels will be happy to hear, and this feedback will be useful for me and my team to be able to improve the content that we share, and hopefully this brings a lot of value for your teams, right, as you explore AhaSlides more. And if you have any ideas about what we should talk about, please let us know. In the coming weeks to come, we have a lineup of exciting speakers. We've been able to engage the global community, people who care about mental wellness, who care about the trends that are changing, and check out the event Bright page. So if you go to ahaslides.com, there will be a top blue announcer bar. If you click on it, it goes to our Eventbrite page. I will be adding more events, webinars, and this is going to be a weekly check-ins. For now, it's Thursday, 8 p.m. Singapore time, but we'll be adding more sessions, right, so that we can accommodate for the time zone on the other side. All right, I've come to the end of this session. My name is Amin Nordin. I hope you find this useful. If it is useful, please help me to share this. Maybe it's a bit too long to share, but feel free to do what you feel would be important for your team. All right. If you're on the other side of the world, I hope you have a great day ahead. Stay safe. If you are on my side of the world, thanks for tuning in, guys. It's probably late night, and I wish you a great evening ahead. All right, take care.